Welcome to Scary Stories NYC. I'm your old pal Bigfoot, and I've got some scary Dogman stuff for you today.
Arr, matey, 'tis I, Pirate Willie, arr.
Willie, why are you here?
Why, I'm sailing the high seas, I am, arr.
Okay, I'll bite. What are you talking about?
Well, since you asked, I'd like to point out that this video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Get ExpressVPN and sail the high seas with Pirate Willie, arr.
Okay. Are you done?
Not quite, my boyo. I haven't pointed out that using the internet is like sending a postcard. Sure, your friend is happy with it when he gets it, but every male guy and lady along the way has also read your message. But using ExpressVPN, why, that's like sending your mail in a super strong, ultra impenetrable envelope. Why, it's the greatest thing ever invented. Arr.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, also, ExpressVPN protects you from hackers who might want to steal your personal information. Arr.
Nice. Is that it now?
Is that it? My boyo, that's everything. Well, you could have everything stolen at any coffee shop, you know. But not with ExpressVPN.
Cool. Maybe I'll get it.
And it also protects your privacy.
Okay, you sold me.
Plus, it gives you unrestricted access to all parts of the internet, even stuff you aren't supposed to have access to. Arr.
Your accent keeps going in and out, but it's alright, you already sold me. I mean, what else could you possibly have to add?
Well, you can get a big discount if you order through that special Scary Stories NYC link in the description and the pinned comment. https://drums.net.
Yeah, nobody understands that. But they can check the link in the description right now.
Arr.
So, can we tell a scary story now, please?
I don't know, is it 30 seconds yet?
I think so.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Thank you. And this first scary story of the show is called Dogman Carving in a Tree. Dear Scary Stories NYC, I had a vivid dream last night that has left me unnerved all day. In the dream, I was standing in the woods behind my house, looking up at a towering oak tree. There was a very specific tree that I have known and loved all my life. Suddenly, a terrifying creature appeared beside me. It was a dogman with matted fur and eyes that seemed to glow in the darkness. Without warning, the dogman moved toward the oak tree and began to scratch at the bark. At first I thought he was trying to climb the tree but had no luck. As he clawed at the trunk though, I noticed that the bark at the bottom was falling away, revealing the tree's smooth wood beneath. I wanted to run away from the dogman, but my legs refused to move. I was paralyzed with fear, watching helplessly as the creature continued to attack the tree. When I woke up, I was drenched in sweat. Even though it was just a dream, it felt real to me. As I sat up in bed, I couldn't shake off the feeling that the dream was trying to tell me something. I decided to take a walk in the woods to clear my head. As I walked behind the house toward the iconic oak tree that had appeared in my dream, I noticed something I'd never noticed before. There was a carving of a dog head in the trunk. The carving was pretty deep, as if it had been done with a sharp tool, and it was a pretty nice carving, as if it had been done by a professional. Obviously, my dream came back to me, and my blood ran cold. I wondered if the dogman himself had left that carving. I felt a shiver travel down my spine as I stared at it. I had certainly never noticed it before. I don't think it had ever been there before. The memory of my dream lingered in my mind as I walked back to my house. Part of me was scared, but another part was curious. Could it be that there really is a dogman lurking in the woods behind my house? I don't know, but I will definitely be more mindful and vigilant from now on. My Anubis and Dogman Dreams. Dear Scary Stories NYC, I had a dogman dream that really shook my entire life to the core and intruded on my daily reality. In the dream, I was standing in an ancient rock garden, feeling a sense of peace wash over me as I took in the intricate beauty of the sandstone sculptures that surrounded me. Suddenly the sky darkened, and a hurricane swept in with unrelenting force. I tried to run, but the wind was too strong, carrying me off my feet and tossing me around like a rag doll. As the storm subsided, I found myself in what seemed like an alternate dimension. The rock garden was no longer peaceful. Instead, the sculptures had taken on a macabre quality, with twisted, gnarled forms climbing from the sand. I was suddenly aware of a presence behind me, and when I turned around, I saw a black humanoid jackal staring back at me with glowing red eyes. At first I was afraid, but something about the creature's expression made me feel calm. The jackal began to speak in a deep, rumbling voice that seemed to come from somewhere far away, and he said,
I stand before you as Anubis, the god of the dead. I am not the Anubis that you know from your history books, nor am I the Anubis that your ancestors worshipped. I am the Anubis that exists only in your dreams, for that is where my people now reside. Long ago, my people were powerful beings who ruled over both the world of the living and the world of the dead. We were feared and revered, for we had the ability to grant life and take it away. We were gods, and we were worshipped by all who knew of us. But over time, we began to lose our power. Our connection to the living world began to fade, and we could no longer sustain ourselves. We watched as our people slowly devolved into the creatures you now know as the Dogmen. Our once proud civilization crumbled into dust, and our deeds were forgotten. But even as we faded into obscurity, we never forgot our origins. We never forgot that we were once gods. And so we retreated into the world of dreams, where we could still hold some semblance of our former power. We became the guardians of the gateway between the living and the dead, guiding lost souls to their final resting place. But even in our dreams, we cannot escape our true form. We are still Anubis, the god of the dead, but now we are trapped in the bodies of beasts. We can still watch over the living, but we can never again rule over them. So here I stand before you, a once mighty god, reduced to a mere dream. But even in this diminished state, I still hold on to the memory of what we once were. And perhaps someday, my people will rise again and take their rightful place among the gods.
I listened in amazement, feeling a sense of awe and wonder, mixed with a growing sense of unease. Despite the strangeness of the creature's story, it all seemed so vivid and real, like a history stretching back thousands of years. As the jackal finished speaking, I felt myself being pulled back into reality, and the dream slowly faded away. Despite how dreamlike the experience had been, it stayed with me long after I woke up, leaving me with a sense of wonder and uncertainty about the mysteries of our world. I had to know if any of what that Anubis in my dream told me was officially true in this world too, so I contacted my nerdy friend we shall call Egbert. Don't feel bad for him because I'm calling him Egbert. He thinks he's better than all the rest of us anyway. At any rate, after my first email asking him about Anubis, Egbert shot this back at me, reading like an encyclopedia entry, which is typical of him. The ancient Egyptian god Anubis is often depicted as a man with a jackal's head and is associated with mummification and the afterlife. While the exact origins of this deity are unknown, historians and anthropologists believe that his worship dates back to at least the early dynastic period, which began around 3000 BCE. Anubis played a key role in the mummification process in ancient Egypt, as it was believed that he would weigh the hearts of the deceased to determine their worthiness for the afterlife. This association with death and the afterlife may have contributed to the popularity of his worship during ancient times. One possibility is that Anubis was originally a deity associated with the desert jackals that roam the outskirts of Egyptian settlements, and his role in the funerary process gradually evolved over time as the civilization became more advanced. Alternatively, some historians have suggested that Anubis may have been introduced to the Egyptian pantheon by neighboring cultures such as the Nubians or the Libyans. Archaeologists have uncovered numerous artifacts and inscriptions dedicated to Anubis throughout Egypt, highlighting his importance to ancient Egyptian culture. It is believed that his worship persisted until at least the end of the Ptolemaic period, which ended with the death of Cleopatra VII in 30 BCE, after which it gradually declined in popularity as Egypt was absorbed into the Roman Empire. Today, the worship of Anubis is largely limited to modern-day paganism, as well as pop culture portrayals of the deity in film, television, and literature. Nonetheless, the mythology surrounding Anubis continues to captivate people around the world, providing a fascinating glimpse into the beliefs and values of one of the world's earliest civilizations. I thanked him for his scholarly response, but I asked him to please respond to my dream itself. Could Dogman have devolved from an earlier and superior race, the memory of which led to the belief in the god Anubis? Egbert wrote back expressing some annoyance at being asked to talk about somebody's dream, since to him dreams are of little or no importance. Yet he gamely pressed on, and gave me this somewhat testy response. Anubis 2 Electric Boogaloo. There are very few theories connecting Anubis with modern-day reported Dogman sightings, primarily because the two are separated by thousands of years of cultural and geographic distance. However, for the purpose of humoring you, here are two possible theories, although it's worth noting that they are highly unlikely and lack any real scientific or historical evidence. Nevertheless, these theories are, number one, an extraterrestrial connection. Some proponents of the hypothesis that extraterrestrial beings have visited Earth suggest that Anubis, and by extension modern reported Dogman, may have extraterrestrial origins. According to this theory, Anubis's jackal-like appearance is a result of his being depicted in the likeness of the aliens that originally introduced him to the ancient Egyptians, who allegedly hailed from the Sirius star system. These same beings are believed by some to be the ones responsible for the creation of the modern-day Dogman. 2. A supernatural connection instead. There are some individuals who believe that Anubis and modern reported Dogman share a connection through the supernatural realm. According to this theory, Anubis may be considered a type of demon or spirit, which was later reinterpreted by the ancient Egyptians as a deity. In this interpretation, modern-day Dogman sightings may be seen as encounters with similar supernatural entities, although with a different cultural and historical context. It is important to note that these theories are not supported by factual evidence and are largely speculative in nature, as well as the layman's search for explanations of phenomena too difficult for him to understand. Okay, enough with Egbert. I have an Aunt Esther who told me she does channeling, but it turns out she actually does remote viewing. She can travel to the past and look at things for you and tell you what happened where and when. At least that's what she claims that she can do. So I asked her to channel, or really remote view, the ancient Dogman civilization and tell us something about where these beings came from to get to where they are today. Here is her response, transcribed by me. I closed my eyes and let my mind wander into the depths of the past. As a psychic, I have the ability to channel the energies of those who have long since transcended this world. And right now, my mind is filled with images of the ancient Dogmen in all their godlike glory. Their technology was beyond what any human could ever imagine. They did not rely on electricity or machines like we do now. Instead, they used the power of their minds and their souls to create and manipulate their world. Their ability to travel was not limited by physical distances. Rather, they could transport their bodies through time and space using only their thoughts. They had mastered the art of interdimensional travel and could shift between different realities effortlessly. When it came to building, They did not need crude tools or heavy machinery either. They could simply think a structure into existence, shaping the very fabric of reality to suit their needs. They built towering cities and sprawling temples, all with the power of their minds. But it wasn't just their physical creations that were awe-inspiring. The Dogman had also developed a sophisticated system of energy manipulation, allowing them to tap into the very essence of the universe. They used this energy to sustain themselves, to heal their bodies, and to maintain their immortality. It is truly humbling to think that such beings once walked the earth, possessing knowledge and abilities that we can only dream of. But their time has long since passed, and they now exist only as echoes in the wind. I am but a conduit for their energies, a messenger bringing their stories to life for a new generation to hear. As I continue to channel the energies of the ancient Dogmen, I am able to glimpse their original philosophy, the ideas that guided them before they came to Earth. Their greatest belief was in the interconnectedness of all things. They understood that everything in the universe is connected in a vast, intricate web of energy. Even the smallest action would have repercussions throughout the entirety of reality. They also believed in the inherent divinity of all life. They saw that every living being possessed a spark of the divine, and therefore every living being was deserving of reverence and respect. The Dogman believed in balance above all else. They understood that everything in the universe must be in a state of equilibrium, and that if one thing is thrown out of balance, it can have disastrous consequences. This belief extended not only to the physical world, but also to the spiritual realm. Another key aspect of the Dogman's philosophy was the understanding that everything is cyclical. They saw that everything in the universe goes through cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. This gave them the wisdom to know that nothing was ever truly lost, that even in the darkest of times, there was always the potential for new growth and new life. Ultimately, the Dogman knew that their time in our world would be cyclical as well. They understood that everything that exists must eventually come to an end, but that in that end, there is always the potential for new beginnings. And so they left us with their wisdom, their knowledge, and their power, in the hope that one day we too may transcend the confines of this world and reach for the stars. Well, sounds like a lot of supernatural baloney to me. I tried to believe in it, only I had a really bad nightmare about the Dogman, and I've had a feeling of foreboding ever since. In this new dream, I saw Anubis again. Only he wasn't speaking, and he wasn't acting godly or noble either. He was acting like a savage animal, and I don't see how that can possibly be a good sign or omen. So I've started meditating again, but it hasn't been helping my nerves so far. I'm just really scared that something terrible is gonna happen. If anyone has any advice for me, I'm all ears. In the meantime, I'm gonna go watch a comedy on YouTube and try to take my mind off this stuff. Grandmother's Warning. Dear Scary Stories NYC. It was a warm summer night, and I was sound asleep in my bedroom when I had a dream that my late grandmother was trying to warn me about something. In my dream, she kept repeating over and over, "Be careful, there's a lurking danger." And then, in the dream, a large man-shaped furry monster with a canine head, looking like it just rose up out of hell itself, grabbed my grandmother and pulled her straight down out of my view. I woke up from my dream in a cold sweat. It felt so real, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong, as in something in real life. I spent the rest of the night in a restless state of fear, with my grandmother's warning going through my mind. That night, the main thought that came to my mind was whether the dream had any meaning or not. In the dream, my late grandmother appeared warning me about the Dogman, and I just couldn't shake it off. I didn't believe in the Dogman back then, so the more I thought about it, the more confused I became. Why would my grandmother warn me about something that didn't exist? And why was I dreaming of her anyway? My thoughts were spinning around, and I was unable to get a hold of anything. When I got out of bed, I noticed a faint growling sound outside my window. I went closer, and I saw the silhouette of a figure, looking like a dogman. It couldn't be, I thought. It had to be my imagination getting the better of me. But what if it was real? What if my grandmother's warning was indeed correct? Was it even possible? My mind was boggled with all these questions and doubts. As I was standing there trying to make sense of it, I felt a strange sensation. It was as if my late grandmother was communicating with me. I couldn't explain it, but it felt real. I couldn't hear what she was saying, so I asked out loud, "Grandma, what are you saying?" Suddenly the dogman disappeared, and the growling sound faded away. As I turned back toward my bed, I saw a photograph of my late grandmother on my dresser, and man, I felt a cool chill run down my spine. Was it a coincidence that the dream and the real-life occurrence happened together? Or was it something more profound, like my grandmother trying to warn me from the other side? I couldn't find any answers, but I knew one thing for sure. I had to be more careful from then on, even from the things I thought didn't exist. The next day, I couldn't shake off the feeling I had from the dream and the strange occurrence outside my window. As I was contemplating both of them, my phone rang, and it was my grandfather, my late grandmother's husband. After exchanging pleasantries, my grandfather informed me that he had experienced something similar to what I had seen outside my window. He reported that around 3 a.m., he heard a loud growling sound outside his house. And when he went to investigate, he saw what appeared to be a dogman. At first he thought it was an escaped wild animal, but then he saw that it had a human-like face, which freaked him out. He managed to ward it off by banging some pots and pans, but the situation left him shaken. My mind raced back to my dream. I suddenly realized that it might have been a premonition of some sort. Could my grandmother have warned me of something that was about to happen? But the question remained, how could my dead grandmother have delivered me a warning? Does the supernatural really exist? Or was this just a series of coincidences that our family was going through? I had always been a skeptic, but this incident left me confused and frightened. My grandfather and I talked for a while longer, exchanging experiences about the dogman. The more we talked, the more it seemed like a real occurrence, and not just a figment of our imagination. Days turned into weeks, and nothing unusual happened. My life went back to normal, and I tried to forget about all this stuff. But it wasn't until years later, when my grandfather passed away, and I was going through his old belongings, that I found something that gave me goosebumps. It was a handwritten letter from my late grandmother, addressed to me, but never sent. And inside she warned me about the dogman and the dangers it posed. As I read that letter, tears welled up in my eyes, and I realized that it wasn't just a coincidence, but something much greater than us. The incident left me less skeptical, but it also opened up a new realm of possibilities about life and mortality. I had been astounded by my grandfather's revelation of hearing strange sounds outside his house, and the coincidence of my dream happening at the same time. But then I read that letter from my late grandmother, and everything clicked into place. The letter began with pleasantries and updates on how everything was going with the family. But then it took a strange turn. My grandmother started talking about how she had been having visions of a dogman, a creature like a werewolf, and that it posed a real threat to our family. She then went on to give details about how to protect ourselves from it, such as keeping our doors and windows closed at night, not going out alone in the woods, and sharing her secret remedy to ward off evil. As I read the letter, I couldn't believe my grandmother had written this. She had always been a superstitious woman, but I never thought it would come to this. The letter was written years before her passing, which gave it the impression that she had somehow foreseen the danger that was going to come our way. She knew that her vision wasn't just a dream or a hallucination, but something that she needed to pass on, as a warning. But then the question remained, was it really possible for her to send this letter after she had died? Was it more likely some kind of coincidence? I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I kept the letter safe, and I shared my experience with my family, but most of them were skeptical. However, my mind was blown away by what had happened. It changed my perception of life and death, and made me question the existence of supernatural phenomena. I will never forget the mysterious incident and the letter that my grandmother had written, warning me of a real danger that lurked. Beyond the shadows. Thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button, or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that when it cuts off after I think 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.